The plants that appear on every wellness list, turmeric, lavender, echinacea, have earned their prominence. But the botanical world is vast, and some of its most remarkable medicinal plants remain almost entirely unknown outside the communities that have used them for centuries. These are not obscure plants waiting to be discovered. In many cases, they have been studied thoroughly, their mechanisms identified, their effects confirmed in clinical trials. They simply never made it into mainstream conversation. What follows are 8 of them. Plants with documented medicinal properties, real research behind them, and practical applications that are available to anyone willing to look beyond the familiar. Number 1. Andrographis, the king of bitters. The Andrographis paniculata is called the king of bitters in Ayurvedic medicine, and the name is earned. The leaves are among the most intensely bitter of any medicinal plant, a quality that reflects the concentration of its primary active compounds, the andrographolides. In the traditional medicine systems of India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and China, Andrographis has been used continuously for centuries to treat fever, respiratory infections, and inflammatory conditions. It remains one of the most widely used medicinal plants in Southeast Asia, where it is as familiar as aspirin is in the West. The research is substantial. Multiple randomized controlled trials confirm Andrographis significantly reduces the duration and severity of upper respiratory infections, colds, and flu when taken at the onset of symptoms. A meta-analysis of 7 clinical trials found Andrographis more effective than placebo for relieving symptoms of acute upper respiratory infection, with an effect size comparable to some over-the-counter cold medications. Studies confirm anti-inflammatory activity through inhibition of NF-κB, the same master inflammatory switch that curcumin targets. Research demonstrates immune-modulating effects, stimulating innate immune response while regulating the inflammatory cascade that, when dysregulated, causes more damage than the infection itself. Perhaps the most remarkable research involves andrographolides' effects on autoimmune conditions. Clinical trials in multiple sclerosis patients have found that andrographolide supplementation significantly reduced the frequency of relapses and slowed neurological progression, findings significant enough to generate ongoing pharmaceutical interest in isolating the compound for drug development. Andrographis grows readily as a container plant in warm conditions, producing abundant dark green leaves through the growing season. The bitterness that makes it unpleasant as a fresh herb is precisely the indicator of medicinal potency. In botanical medicine, bitterness has long been understood as a reliable proxy for the presence of active alkaloids and terpenoids. It is taken most practically as a standardized extract or tincture, where the dose can be controlled and the bitterness is less of a barrier. Number 2. Shatavari, the woman's root. Asparagus racemosus, shatavari, is a climbing plant native to India and the Himalayas, producing feathery foliage and small white flowers above a root system that carries one of the most significant medicinal reputations in the entire Ayurvedic tradition. The name translates roughly as "she who possesses 100 husbands," a reflection of the plant's historical association with female vitality, hormonal health, and reproductive function across all stages of a woman's life. The active compounds, steroidal saponins called shatavarins, along with isoflavones and alkaloids, work through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. Shatavari has documented phytoestrogenic activity, meaning its compounds interact with estrogen receptors in ways that can moderate the effects of fluctuating estrogen levels. This mechanism is directly relevant to the hormonal changes of perimenopause and menopause, which typically occur between 45 and 55 years of age and produce a range of symptoms that shatavari has been used to address for centuries. Clinical research supports this traditional use. Randomized controlled trials have found shatavari supplementation significantly reduces the frequency and intensity of hot flashes, improves sleep quality, and reduces the mood disturbances associated with menopausal transition. Research confirms adaptogenic effects. Shatavari moderates the cortisol response to stress, supporting adrenal function during the hormonal transition that places significant demands on the adrenal system. Beyond its hormonal applications, shatavari has documented immune-enhancing, anti-inflammatory, and digestive-supporting properties. It is classified as a rasayana in Ayurvedic medicine, a class of rejuvenating herbs associated with longevity and the maintenance of vitality across the lifespan. Research confirms antioxidant activity significantly above baseline and gastroprotective effects relevant to the digestive changes of middle age. Shatavari root powder has a mild, slightly sweet flavor that incorporates easily into warm milk, smoothies, or porridge, making daily use straightforward and sustainable. Number 3, jiaogulan, the immortality herb. Gynostema pentaphyllum is a climbing vine native to the mountainous regions of southern China, Korea, and Japan. It is almost entirely unknown in the Western world, yet in the regions where it grows, it carries one of the most striking reputations of any medicinal plant. In certain provinces of southern China, where jiaogulan tea is consumed daily, census data has recorded unusually high concentrations of healthy centenarians, people living past 100 in good health. This observation prompted serious scientific investigation beginning in the 1970s, and what researchers found justified the attention. Jiaogulan contains a class of compounds called gypinosides, structurally similar to the ginsenosides that make ginseng one of the most studied adaptogenic plants in the world. Some gypinosides are chemically identical to specific ginsenosides. This structural similarity explains why jiaogulan produces effects comparable to ginseng in research, without the overstimulation that ginseng can cause in sensitive individuals, and at a fraction of the cost. Clinical studies have confirmed multiple significant effects. Research demonstrates jiaogulan activates AMPK, an enzyme that regulates cellular energy metabolism and is associated with the longevity-promoting effects of caloric restriction and exercise. Studies confirm significant reductions in blood sugar and improvements in insulin sensitivity in people with type 2 diabetes. Research shows reductions in LDL cholesterol and triglycerides with regular consumption. Multiple studies have demonstrated adaptogenic effects, reduced fatigue, improved stress resilience, and enhanced physical endurance in clinical trials. Perhaps most remarkably, jiaogulan has been shown to activate NRF2, a transcription factor that upregulates the body's own antioxidant enzyme systems, including superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. This activation of endogenous antioxidant defenses is considered one of the most significant mechanisms available for slowing cellular aging. Jiaogulan grows vigorously as a climbing houseplant in bright indoor conditions. The fresh leaves can be brewed directly as a tea with a mild, slightly sweet flavor. In more than 20 years of growing medicinal plants, few have been as consistently rewarding as jiaogulan, vigorous, productive, and genuinely useful in daily life. Number 4. Bacopa monnieri, the scholar's herb. Bacopa monnieri is a small, creeping aquatic herb that grows along the edges of ponds and slow-moving waterways across South Asia. In Ayurvedic medicine, it is called Brahmi, named after Brahma, the Hindu god of creation, and has been used specifically for the enhancement of memory, learning, and cognitive function for over 3,000 years. Ancient texts recommend it for students memorizing sacred texts, for scholars engaged in complex study, and for anyone seeking to maintain mental clarity through the demands of intellectual work. The research on bacopa is among the most robust of any cognitive support herb. Multiple randomized controlled trials in healthy adults have confirmed significant improvements in the speed of visual information processing, learning rate, memory consolidation, and the reduction of forgetting. A meta-analysis of 9 randomized controlled trials concluded that bacopa significantly improves cognition, with the strongest effects on tests of memory-free recall. Critically, the effects of bacopa are time-dependent. They build over 8 to 12 weeks of consistent use, reflecting the herb's mechanism of action, which involves the gradual enhancement of synaptic communication rather than acute stimulation. The active compounds, bacosides A and B, enhance the efficiency of nerve signal transmission by facilitating the repair and synthesis of synaptic proteins. They also have documented antioxidant effects specifically in neural tissue, and research demonstrates neuroprotective activity against the type of oxidative damage that accumulates in aging brains. For anyone over 55 noticing changes in memory retrieval speed, in the ease of learning new information, or in the ability to hold multiple pieces of information in mind simultaneously, bacopa represents one of the most evidence-backed botanical interventions available. Its effects are not dramatic in the short term. They are cumulative, building quietly over months of consistent use into improvements that become unmistakable. Bacopa grows as an aquatic or semi-aquatic plant. It thrives in containers kept consistently moist or in small indoor water gardens, making it an unusual but manageable addition to a medicinal plant collection. Number 5. Rhodiola, rosea, the Arctic adaptogen. Rhodiola rosea grows in the cold, rocky, high-altitude environments of Siberia, Scandinavia, and the Arctic, conditions that are among the most physiologically demanding on Earth. The plant's ability to thrive in extreme cold, thin air, and poor soil reflects a biochemical resilience that translates directly into its medicinal properties. Plants that survive extreme environments do so by producing extraordinary concentrations of protective compounds, and those compounds, when consumed, confer aspects of that resilience to the people who use them. Rhodiola has been used in Scandinavian and Russian traditional medicine for centuries to combat fatigue, improve physical endurance, and support mental function under conditions of severe stress. The Soviet military and space programs conducted extensive classified research on rhodiola as a performance enhancer for soldiers and cosmonauts operating under extreme psychological and physical demands. Much of this research was declassified after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and it confirmed what traditional use had long suggested. Rhodiola is a genuine and powerful adaptogen. Clinical research in the post-Soviet era has confirmed multiple significant effects. Randomized controlled trials demonstrate rhodiola significantly reduces burnout, the specific combination of physical exhaustion, cognitive fatigue, and emotional depletion that is increasingly recognized as a distinct clinical syndrome. Studies show improvements in mental performance under stress, reduced cortisol response to acute stress, and enhanced physical endurance in both trained athletes and sedentary adults. Research in adults with mild to moderate depression found rhodiola extract comparable to sertraline for reducing depression scores, with significantly fewer side effects. The active compounds, rosavins and salidroside, work primarily through the HPA axis, the hormonal system that regulates the body's response to stress. By moderating HPA axis activity, rhodiola reduces the cortisol overproduction that, sustained over months and years, accelerates virtually every aspect of biological aging. Rhodiola is taken as a standardized extract. Look for preparations standardized to at least 3% rosavins and 1% salidroside. It is best taken in the morning, as its mildly stimulating properties can interfere with sleep if taken late in the day. Number 6. Astragalus, the telomere medicine. Astragalus membranaceus has been a foundational herb in Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years, classified as one of the superior tonic herbs. Plants taken not to treat specific disease, but to build and maintain the deep constitutional vitality that prevents disease from taking hold. It appears in classical Chinese medical texts as a primary herb for supporting the Wei Qi, the body's defensive energy, and for promoting longevity and physical resilience across the lifespan. Modern research has confirmed these traditional applications and added a finding that has generated significant interest in anti-aging medicine. Astragalus contains cycloastragenol, a compound that activates telomerase, the enzyme responsible for rebuilding and maintaining telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of chromosomes that shorten with every cell division and with every stress event. Telomere length is one of the most direct biological measurements of cellular age. Shorter telomeres correlate with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality. The shortening of telomeres was long considered an irreversible biological process, an inevitable countdown that could be slowed but not reversed. Cycloastragenol challenges this assumption. Clinical studies using cycloastragenol in adults over 45 have shown measurable improvements in immune cell telomere length and biomarkers of immune aging. Human observational studies consistently find longer average telomere lengths in people with higher astragalus consumption compared to their chronological age peers. Beyond its telomere effects, astragalus has extensive clinical evidence for immune enhancement, stimulating the production and activity of natural killer cells, T lymphocytes and macrophages, counteracting the immunosenescence that accelerates after 50 and is responsible for increased vulnerability to infection, slower recovery, and reduced vaccine effectiveness. The root is traditionally simmered in soups and broths. Slices of dried astragalus root added to a long-cooked stock release their active compounds slowly into the liquid, producing a mildly sweet, earthy broth that delivers meaningful therapeutic concentrations with daily use. Number 7. Lion's mane. Mushroom, the neural gardener. Hericium erinaceus, lion's mane mushroom, grows on the trunks of hardwood trees across North America, Europe, and Asia, producing cascading white spines that give it the appearance of a miniature waterfall frozen in fungal form. It has been used in Chinese and Japanese traditional medicine for centuries, valued particularly for conditions involving cognitive function and digestive health. In recent years, it has attracted serious scientific attention, and the research findings have been significant enough to generate genuine pharmaceutical interest. Lion's mane is the only mushroom, and one of very few substances of any kind, demonstrated to stimulate the production of both nerve growth factor and brain-derived neurotrophic factor in the human brain. These are proteins essential for the growth, maintenance, and repair of neural connections. BDNF, in particular, is often described as fertilizer for the brain. It promotes the growth of new synaptic connections, supports the survival of existing neurons, and underlies the neuroplasticity that makes learning and memory possible at any age. BDNF levels decline with age, with chronic stress, and with physical inactivity, and this decline is directly associated with the cognitive changes that become noticeable after 50. A landmark clinical trial in Japan gave lion's mane supplements to adults aged 50 to 80 with mild cognitive impairment for 16 weeks. The group receiving lion's mane showed significant improvements across multiple cognitive measures. When supplementation stopped, the improvements gradually declined, confirming the effect was genuine, ongoing, and dependent on continued use. Research also confirms lion's mane reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety, conditions that both reflect and accelerate brain aging through shared neurochemical pathways. Studies demonstrate significant anti-inflammatory effects in neural tissue specifically, with implications for the prevention of neurodegenerative conditions. Lion's mane can be grown at home on supplemented hardwood sawdust blocks. Kits are widely available and produce substantial harvests of fresh mushroom. Cooked fresh, it has a mild seafood-like texture and flavor. As an extract powder or capsule, standardized preparations deliver consistent concentrations of the active compounds for therapeutic effect. Number 8. Moringa, the nutritional anchor. Moringa oleifera, the drumstick tree, grows rapidly in tropical and subtropical climates, producing an abundance of leaves that contain one of the most concentrated nutritional profiles of any plant food documented. Gram for gram, dried moringa leaf contains more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, more vitamin A than carrots, more vitamin C than oranges, and a complete amino acid profile that makes it one of the few plant sources of complete protein. It has been used as a nutritional intervention in food-insecure regions by international health organizations precisely because its density of essential nutrients is extraordinary. The medicinal relevance of moringa extends beyond its nutritional profile. Research confirms anti-inflammatory activity through multiple pathways. Moringa leaf contains isothiocyanates and flavonoids that inhibit inflammatory enzymes at concentrations achievable through dietary use. Clinical studies demonstrate significant reductions in fasting blood sugar and improvements in insulin sensitivity in people with type 2 diabetes. Research shows reductions in blood pressure and improvements in lipid profiles with regular moringa consumption. Animal studies consistently find activation of antioxidant enzyme systems and reduction in markers of cellular aging. For anyone past 55, the nutritional dimension of moringa is as clinically relevant as its specific medicinal properties. After middle age, nutritional deficiencies accumulate silently. Declining stomach acid reduces mineral absorption, changing metabolism, alters B vitamin requirements, reduces dietary variety, creates micronutrient gaps that manifest as fatigue, cognitive fog, immune vulnerability, and accelerated tissue aging. Moringa addresses multiple deficiencies simultaneously in a whole food matrix that the body absorbs more efficiently than isolated supplements. Moringa trees can be grown in large containers in warm climates, producing continuous harvests of fresh leaves. In cooler climates, dried moringa leaf powder, available from specialty health suppliers, provides the same nutritional profile in a form that stores well and incorporates easily into daily cooking. A teaspoon in a smoothie, soup, or sauce daily delivers the equivalent of a comprehensive micronutrient supplement, grown rather than manufactured. These 8 plants represent a fraction of the botanical world's medicinal potential. Plants with genuine research behind them, practical applications, and histories of use extending back centuries or millennia. The fact that they remain largely unknown outside specialist communities is not a reflection of their value. It is a reflection of how narrow the conversation about plant medicine tends to be. Growing any of these plants, or incorporating them into daily life through teas, powders, or tinctures, is a practical act. The research exists. The plants exist. What remains is simply the decision to begin. For those who found this useful, a like helps this content reach others with similar interests. Comments from gardeners and herbalists who have worked with any of these plants directly are always welcome. Practical experience from the ground up is often the most reliable knowledge there is. Subscribing ensures the next exploration of the botanical world arrives directly.